Good evening, folks. Welcome to this special meeting of Grand Forks City Council. My first item of business is to adopt the special meeting agenda. Can I have that motion? Councilor Doherty, Councilor Kendall, all those in favor? The next item is that we want to run this meeting, because this is a regular meeting of council, not a committee of the whole. We have to pass a motion so that the audience can participate. So we're going to open it up like a committee of the whole meeting so that you can raise your hand, be recognized, and speak during the meeting. We have a presentation by Doug Allen, our CAO, coming up. And so can I have the motion to go to the council? And so it has to be unanimous. All those in favor? And so be it. Before I start, let me first thank all of the players in this game. The fire department, first of all, for the excellent job they've done. The RCMP for the backup that they gave. Our city staff, who have really pulled together to keep business operating, keep it moving forward. Our CAO for his attention to detail and controlling the message. I think that, you know, the long-range picture here is that, yes, this is a disaster. We will overcome it. We'll be back in action fairly quickly. You'll get more detail on that from Mr. Allen. But I think with the kind of momentum that the city has had, that the council has been behind so many projects and things going on, that we're looking forward to this being an opportunity for us to pay attention to some of the issues that face the city and to basically move the city forward and make it a healthier place for everybody. So without going further, I would turn the meeting over to our CAO for his report. And again, if you have questions and want to participate in discussions, please raise your hand. We'll recognize you. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what I have for tonight is for the Mayor and Council and for everybody here, just a brief synopsis of what happened on Thursday morning. Just to give everybody the reassurance right now that, like the Mayor said, it is business as usual. We are operating right now, and our business continual plan is in action. Our staff is basically pulling everything together, and along with all the other projects, are working on this. So it's been a great job by our staff. I gotta say, from my perspective, being part of several big events, fires in Kelowna in 2009, fires in 2012, this team has pulled together quite well to make sure that there's no problems to the community. So I gotta say kudos to the staff. And again, to reiterate what the Mayor said regarding the fire department, what an amazing job to preserve the records downstairs in City Hall in the archives. I went down there yesterday with the people responsible for the museum, and there was a few ceiling tiles that were wet and a little bit of water on the floor, and that was it. There was no damage whatsoever to the archives. So what a great job to the fire department. So approximately 5:30 a.m. the Grand Forks emergency response was called to a fire at City Hall. It was reported to dispatch that the fire was completely out and the crews were in the overhaul mode at 9:30 a.m. So the crews had the fire out at approximately 6:30, I think that's the time. But part of that, they have to go in and they have to tear down the walls and open up the ceiling tiles and make sure there is no remaining fire within the structure. So about 9:30 a.m. they had it closed up. The Mayor and I were at UBCM along with a couple other members of council. We got the call from the police chief, Staff Sergeant Harrison. The Mayor called me, and we basically started at about 7:15, arranging for flights for the Mayor to get home. The other councilors carried on with the business at UBCM, and we made our flight arrangements to get back home. Meanwhile, the Mayor was doing interviews, and I was telling people this today. You know, we were in my hotel room, and he was in the bathroom trying to get away from my conference call. He was trying to do another interview with somebody else, and it was just an ongoing requirements for the Mayor to provide the information, so it was handled quite well. The structural engineers, prior to our fire department, everybody being able to go back in, the fire investigators, they had to do a structural investigation of the City Hall, and it was determined that the damage was not structural. The majority of the damage is limited to the main floor of the building. So in the reception area, one of the practices the managers all started doing was closing their doors, and as a result, all the offices remained intact. So it was basically all superficial damage in the main floor area. Upstairs there's some smoke damage and whatnot, but in the main floor is where the considerable damage is. And there's going to be video of this on CHBC News tonight. Les is going to have information on his website, and he's got some video here. That's going to be on our website as well. And we're going to open it up so the public can go in and have a viewing of the damage on Friday between 1 and 3. You'll get the opportunity to look in the front doorway to see exactly what the damage is. So upstairs on City Hall area, you can see here on the floor area, there's a lot of soot and stuff on the hardwood. But basically there's no damage up there other than the smoke damage. So there's no structural damage at all to the pieces upstairs. Downstairs in the archives, this is it's not a very clear picture, but you can see up here on the ceiling tiles here, this is the damage that we got. These white ceiling tiles up here, that's all the damage there was. I met with Sue and Les yesterday down there, and they were pulling some stuff out so they could continue their business, but it was in great condition. So how does this work for us now? The city has a $100,000 relocation insurance as part of our insurance policy. The insurance company selects the contractor for the demolition process, and they made the selection today. This is simply for the demolition. They're going to put a bin outside tomorrow, and they're going to start setting up the triage upstairs, bringing the air quality equipment, and we expect them to be underway this week. It still won't prohibit the people from seeing what's going on, but everybody will start to see the demolition starting tomorrow. Legislative process for us. There's no resolution of council required for the insurance costs because it is covered under our insurance. There may be some costs up front that we'll ask council maybe potentially for an amendment to the financial plan later on this year, but there is no obligation for them to do anything at this point. The notice we're required to provide public notice for the change in location of our council meetings under our procedure bylaw. Council sets that and they set the location. We will be changing those locations. At this point in time, I'll be discussing it further with council. But temporarily, we'll be at our regional district boardroom for our meetings, and we'll basically be proceeding from there. So council will have the opportunity to change that venue. We're required to announce it in the local newspaper and electronically. We'll be doing a massive communication plan on this. We plan to provide so much information to the public that there should be no wanting or any rumors out there. Our procedure bylaw gives us the ability to change the venue without a resolution of council, but it must be advised advertised according to the public notice. So again, we have to ensure that we're providing the public the information for the location. So temporary City Hall has been set up a public works yard office this week. So as you come down to do your business down at City Hall, you're going to be down at Public Works and you'll see a lot of people. It's very busy. We have set it up, but basically staff is coping well. Some of the staff maybe it's just like the community members are affected by this, but some of them have had offices in City Hall for over 20 years. So this is where they went to work every day. So there was an impact to them from a personal perspective. Our organization has to be cognizant of that, and we're keeping an eye on that. You can still reach us at our phone number. Our regular office phone number is there. State nothing changed, 442-8266. You'll be rerouted to Public Works, and we will still be handling your business just like we do every day. The City Council meetings will be regularly scheduled, and they'll be located at 2140 Central Avenue, the Regional District Office. You can still reach us by email, and we are planning on an extensive communication policy. I'm expecting that we're going to take out a full-page ad in the newspaper each week to advise the community where we're at and what we're doing. All of these costs are going to be covered by the insurance process, so there'll be no impact to the taxpayer on this. But we're going to take this opportunity to ensure that you have all the information. So the open house will be at the front entranceway, like I said, on this Friday between 1 and 3 p.m. And we're asking that if you would like to see the inside of the City Hall, that you would take that opportunity to come in and peek in. And we're going to have the volunteer fire department there as well, so members of the community can come by and thank them for their great work that they did on this. So at this point right now, I just want to give you guys, everybody a quick update. We've been working on this now since, like I said, the mayor and I were working from Thursday morning until I think I shut it down around 11 o'clock that night, from starting at 7 with him. We've been working continually as an organization. The mayor's been doing interviews after interviews with the multiple agencies across BC and Canada. We are expecting to continue that, and like I said, it is business as usual. So I'll turn it back over to Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for that one, and we'll open it for questions. We have Staff Sergeant Jim Harrison here. We have our Fire Chief and Assistant Fire Chief here. So Dale and Kevin are open to questions. And I invite anybody who needs some clarification or needs to ask a question to put your hand up.
Just a silly question, but what if you paid your bill, your electric bill just the night before and it was in the box? Will I be notified?
Is that like my dog ate my electric? I don't know, but I'll ask Mr. Allen for that.
Okay.
Sure. As we move through the process, interestingly enough, the basket was in perfect condition.
Oh.
It was really, but it's an interesting point. We had, we're going through the building today, and the desk was completely burnt. But underneath the piece of paper on the desk, there was a piece of paper that was 100% intact. So your bill should be fine.
I just don't want to get cut off.
But yeah, if you would like to follow up with us, we could definitely make sure that we have that.
Further,
I'm just curious what timeline then?
how quickly we're gonna get this done?
Yeah.
Well, Doug assures me that he's gonna make it move as quickly as possible, but with insurance companies and various other hoops to jump through, I think there will be some time delays dictated by the process.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, what we're expecting is, we're expecting the demolition to be, we were just talking with trying to analyze the cost today. We're expecting it to be in the neighborhood of, a couple $100,000 worth of time and costs for taking down the downstairs to do the demolition. We don't know what the impacts are going to be upstairs, but if the same impacts are upstairs from the smoke damage, the ventilation system potentially rewiring, we could be looking at another couple $100,000. So putting that in perspective from a time-wise, we're going to be asking the contractor to expedite the process, look for 12-hour shifts to move it through. All the work is going to be happening by outside agencies. It's not going to be with city staff. It's going to be contract services through the insurance companies. So I was trying to be optimistic on it. I was hoping for 3 to 4 months, but being realistic about it, it's probably going to be about between 3 and 6 months, depending on what they find. Because as they peel back a piece of drywall, if it gets into some structural material like the studs for the wall, they may have to pull those out and then start that process as well. We don't know what the floor condition is underneath the carpeting. We do know there were some significant hot spots. Some of the desk areas and stuff are going to have to be rebuilt, but we don't know to what extent the damage is around them. So right now it's all, if you walk into City Hall, the front entrance, the tile's all in order, for instance. But you walk back to, you look up above you, and the ventilation system didn't automatically shut off, so all of the soot and stuff went into the system. The window above there, it looks like icicles are dropping down because it was so intense there with the heat melted the glass above. So looking at all those pieces, it's really hard for us to gauge. I've been talking to our manager of operations and our building inspector, and our manager of operations has a building inspector's background. We're really trying to assess that, and at this point right now, it's difficult for us to gauge it for probably another week or two before we can really get a handle on where we are.
I'm a little optimistic, but again, I think we've got this momentum going within the community. I don't know whether it's my imagination, but we've been doing a lot of stuff here in the last few months, and so I really think that we need to pay attention to that, keeping that positive attitude going in our community.
Mr. Mayor, hindsight's 20/20, but in retrospect now, could you have done anything to prevent this? Bars on the window type of thing, or do you plan on doing anything?
I really doubt whether any of those kinds of precautions would have, maybe Mr. Harrison could.
Yeah, it's really difficult to say. My experience in regard to turning a residence or a business or anything else into a fortress with bars on the windows and everything else, it tends to send a message that there's something inside worthwhile getting at, which tends to motivate people even more. A classic example of that would be a case down in Wally, where there was a store called Guns and Gold. The title alone said it all. It looked like Fort Knox. It had bars on the windows. It had steel bollards out front and everything else. And one particular evening, somebody felt that there was something worthwhile getting in there, either the guns or the gold, and they stole the front end loader and took the whole front wall out. It's sometimes you can go too far in regard to security, to the point where somebody's always going to rise to meet the challenge. In this particular case, the motivation of the individual was such, through our investigation, what we've learned is that I really don't think, unless all the doors and windows were cemented in, we would have stopped him. He was very motivated to do what he did, and he accomplished what he set out to do.
So in retrospect, I'm pleased that we had an emergency plan that we could activate. I think that again shows the kind of foresight, whether this was a storm or a flood or a fire like this, we were prepared and moved very quickly. And so again, that speaks to the preparedness of the organization.
I have a question about the suspect in this case. The previous case with the hotel fires, that suspect is just going through the system now. I'm just curious if the circumstances are different so that this suspect or this perpetrator will see a faster track, or will it stretch out the same?
I can speak somewhat briefly to that. The wheels of justice sometimes turn very slowly. The person involved in the previous two fires that was charged with the arson in those cases has entered a not guilty plea, and that necessitates the court having to set a trial date and everything else. That has been arranged for early next month, is my understanding, unless there's been another delay, but delays seem to be the course of the day in the court system. This particular individual, there's absolutely no way of knowing what's going to happen, other than to say that, yes, he has been charged with 4 counts, one of break and enter, one of possession of break and enter instruments, one of possession of incendiary material, and arson, of course, being the 4th charge. He is scheduled to appear in court in Nelson tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. He was remanded in custody, and certainly it's the intention of the Crown to seek his continuing custody until the matter is dealt with.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions?
You have to kind of excuse my silly questions, but getting back to the structure of the building, has anybody gone upstairs to see the clock?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have actually the assistant fire chief went up and responded for us. During the event, our staff didn't get the winding on the Wednesday before, so it did stop that evening. But yeah, it's in good shape.
Did it happen to stop at 5:15? Was that time of the explosion?
5:15 p.m. the night before.
All right,
Yes.
okay. My reasoning for asking and dwelling into this is I've studied the clock in the past, but more even just in the last couple of days. And my friend has 2 brothers in Canada, and maybe more. Possibly the clock in Greenwood are all relative, and they were all made around 1910 to 1912 by a company in Birmingham, England. I believe it was F.W.'s Evans and Sons. And it's, I'm finding with my little study, I found a website where there is a clock in Lethbridge on the post office, and there's one in Prince Edward Island on the post office, and of course we all know that the City Hall was a post office at one time. So I was just kind of concerned about the old clock.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, there is no structural damage there. There was no indication that the fire reached that area. The fire was so well contained into the lower floor. We were up on the top floor today, and like I said, there was only a little bit of the soot and debris as a result of the fire and the smoke damage upstairs. So if you were to walk upstairs, you would have the stench of the fire on you, and you see some dust on the floor, and that's all we would be saw at this point. So.
I think your question too is, are we going to pay attention to the historic and basically integrity of the historic nature in our renovations? And I'm assured by Mr. Allen that that certainly will be a factor in how we cost it to the insurance company and how we replace what we had there. So the cornices, various kinds of moldings and things, I think would be the kind of attention that we would have to pay to that historic nature of it.
Very good.
Yeah, Kevin, would you like to make any comment? So quiet here.
Sure. Obviously, you know, getting a call at 5:30 in the morning that the fire anywhere is a real thing that can get you awake in a hurry, but to hear that the city hall was even more so. And when I arrived on scene and saw flame inside the building, it got my heart going a little bit. And the first engine was on scene. About 2 minutes later, we had water going. Just a few minutes after that, and it was a really quick attack. We had 2 guys in the building almost immediately with air packs, and they did a fantastic job. I can't say enough about the firefighters that were in there and how quickly they did what they did and used as little water as they did.
Yeah, you mean that decision to limit the water usage there when you saw that?
We've actually been training them on that for quite a while, and it comes down to evidence preservation, or even there's no criminal, still doing the investigation as to what started the fire, whether it's criminal or not. And if you go in with a whole bunch of hoses and just soak everything down, you're going to destroy any hope of finding what started it. And so we've kind of been drilling into the firefighters over the last couple of years, do the least damage that you can, and they did a fantastic job.
Exactly.
I'd like to comment a little further on that. I've already passed on my observations to the fire chief and the assistant fire chief. Our fire investigator at the scene commented quite animatedly about how excited he was that the fire department did such a wonderful job. Basically, in his capacity as a fire investigator, he said in his experience, he sees more water damage than fire damage in a lot of the cases he goes to investigate. In this case, he said the water damage was so minimal, and the lack of disturbance to the evidence that he found on the scene, he said, was just phenomenal. He said, definitely indicative of a very professional fire service. So, high compliments from our fire investigator.
And as the president of the Historical Society and a taxpayer in town, more kudos to you guys. I mean, it's really good that you didn't just use too much water. We have the archive still, and you were there really quick. We still have the building. So thank you very much. I think you deserve a hand.
Council comments from council? Councilor Weber.
I would like to let everyone know that while His Worship and our CAO were returning back to Grand Forks from Vancouver and UBCM, that word quickly spread throughout the conference, and we received sincere condolences, and their thoughts are with us and wanting to know, let us know if there's anything that we can do out there in other communities. Our surrounding sister communities have all been very, very attentive, and our MLA, Linda Larson, she will be coming into the community on Thursday and touching base with us as well. So it spread very, very quickly throughout UBCM.
Seeing no further hands going up, we are inviting people to stay for coffee and chat. We've got refreshments at the back and coffee at the back. Mr. Brown.
So just further, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that if they have any questions on anything, please contact us at City Hall. We will, like I said, we will be taking out news releases weekly in the Gazette. The information will be simultaneously posted on our website, and working with the Boundary Sentinel to get the information out to the public. So we're going to use those sources of media, and we'll also look at other opportunities in there, but those are going to be our 3 main sources for getting the information out to the public on what's going on. So if you have any questions, just please watch for the weekly advertisements regarding City Hall, regarding temporary locations, because we won't be staying at Public Works. We're just simply, at this point right now, we're making some arrangements to move into a couple other facilities, having a front office space in the downtown core for customers to have the ability to pay their bills. And then we'll be looking at the administration component to be a off-site location to still run the business of the city. So just, like I said, just please watch for that, and you should not miss it as a community. We should make sure that we will make sure we get it to you. And if you need anything else and you find that we're not getting any information, please let us know, and we will get it. We will make that effort to get it to you.
So thank you all for coming out this evening. I'll take a motion to adjourn from council. Councilor Smith, Councilor Doherty, all those in favor?